Whoa there, speed demons. Welcome back to Half Minute Hero, the second coming. Last time we took care of some of the grimoires and we found ourselves confronted with 3 different paths to go down. Oh, so many choices. Looks like the goddess may have made a mistake in trying to reflect upon her greed. And so we've got our mission and our gimmick. Running into each one of those mirrors will give us an opportunity to correct the symmetry inside of them, but the more mirrors we leave alive, the more powerful the Evil Lord's going to be. We may be an even match for the Evil Lord by himself right now, but, well, if there were 4 of them, that might be a much different story. So we're left on one side of the room, and we just have to make it so that one side mirrors the other. In this case, removing some slimes. In the next room, we just have to make all the chests match and, well, knock out a mimic. The third room is much the same as the first, just remove some jellies, except these ones are more spiky jellies. The fourth one is a little bit tricky. You have to destroy an enemy on a certain tile so that it creates a stone monument. But otherwise, it's pretty easy. think the Time Goddess may be pulling her leg on that one. I don't think she was as in on the trap as she thinks she was. But I'm going to go ahead and swap to Musketeer since I am using a bowgun sword, and I'd like to be able to go ahead and grab the skill from it. Triple Shot is an upgraded version of Big Shot, so it's handy to have around. And so our allies have been kidnapped. Let's do our best to go and find them. But of course, first we have to gather some information. Of course. It's starting to look like something of a hero pedigree to break people out of jail. Whips and chains. I knew this empire was evil. In case you haven't been getting enough flashbacks to Final Fantasy VI, Silveri is essentially playing the part of Celis from that game. So here's the trick. Turns out our allies are just being controlled. If we tried going after them before now, well, they're pretty much impossible to beat. And by pretty much I mean completely impossible to beat. So all you have to do is run back and forth on the screen until the shadow comes within range for you to be able to smack it. The shadows themselves are weak, but even skills won't take them out if they're still behind their puppets. So with Nanako in tow, we still have to find our, Levin, and we also have to find, well, there's a couple other villages missing from this village. Might as well save them all. Levin's actually a little bit tough to fight, just because you start so close to him on the screen. It can be difficult to run away in time. They don't do much damage, but they sure knock you back pretty far. So with the Evil Lord's castle revealed, we have our target in mind, but, well, a true hero would probably save all of these people. There's still 2 villagers to save. And so now the village is filled up, and we can grab some goodies and a consumable. This herb is actually cheaper than the lunch you can buy here, so I'd recommend saving the herb girl and then buying from her if you need to restore your health at that village. And so, with Silveri on our side, we now finally have a full party. At least, a full party of members from this time zone. We could grab some party members from Yusha's time, but it's just not the same as having friends of our own. So, we have one more mission to take care of while we're here, and that is to find our way over to the next continent. Actually, yeah, we had Shamal too. How'd I forget about her? Anyway. Well, I suppose we finally found our train Evil Lord weapon. Huh. Anyway, it sounds like Athena and Yashu aren't ready to stop causing trouble for us. So there's two options to fight the train. One of them is we'll have to be able to chase it. And of course, being able to chase a train on a motorcycle is pretty rockin'. Of course, a bike may not be a horse, but it does have horsepower. So using the bike will allow us to dash around with no stamina penalties. So this is one way you could go through this mission, is to use the bike and chase the death rail and go after it from there. That's not the way I'll be doing it, mostly because, well, there's more goodies to grab, and, well, it just doesn't feel right if Yashu's around and we don't kick him in his face. Motorcycle helmet, a riding suit, and motorcycle boots. I feel like this was meant to be. So, humans may not be able to kick that rock out of the way, but we have Hero Castle. But first... And so with Yashu out of the way once again, the death rail has been swapped onto a different track, and now there's a rock blocking the way. So the Evil Lord weapon has been stopped. And now we just have to, well, casually mosey on up to it. Of course, before we leave the continent, there's still a few more things to pick up. A few Evil Lord medals, a few dungeons to clear out, you know, the important stuff. And now that I've finally mastered Triple Shot, I'm actually going to swap over to a different weapon just to use a different skill. I don't think the skills come into play when it comes to getting 100% on the game, but some skills are definitely better than others. And I'm actually going to go ahead and swap it to Skivvy's class, just because, well, it doesn't matter what weapon you're using, Skivvies can always use any weapon skill. Normally if I was using a bowgun sword, I'd have to be a musketeer, or if I was using a sword, I'd have to be a swordsman. Otherwise those skills just won't happen. But we do have, like I said, a dungeon to explore. And of course I teleported the wrong village. That cut was actually because I teleported to 3 other wrong villages. But now that we're inside the spent coal mine and we've taken care of these last 3 evil lords on the continent, we can finally open up these last 3 doors, and get a couple goodies. I'm gonna open them first and then fight everybody, just because Well, if I pick up a weapon, then it's going to automatically be equipped. And, well, it might not be as good as this one. In fact, I know in one case it is for sure not as good as this one. Especially because Prominence Rush is a pretty good skill. But with the enemies out of the way, we get Lambda, a new bowgun sword, the Time Key, which is, well, for use in a dungeon coming up, the Rainbow Shield, which is fabulous, and the Skullbone, which is, kinda garbage. But the Skullbone has a use. Actually has two uses. I'm just gonna do a quick, teleport here just to get Hero Castle to pop up. So the Skullbone's main use is in weapon crafting. First thing you can make is the Ice Longsword +1. And, there's one other item that's also needed for the Skullbone, so I'm going to go back in and go ahead and grab another one, just because, well, I'm here. I'm also going to completely forget which chest the Skullbone is in. Oh no, that must have been my practice run-through. Sorry. And so with a second Skullbone in tow, we can go and upgrade the Skullbone into the Skullbone +1. Yeah, look at that. It's not very good. Not very good weapon. Look how it compares to, well, everything. But, with the power of weapon crafting, and using a bowgun sword, because, well, of course, the Skullbone suddenly becomes a much better weapon. It's hardly as good as the Crimson Edge, but, well, you know, it's got its own benefits. Even so, that's about it for this video. I'm just going to take a quick look through everything I've got. Now, all those books are going to come in handy for later. I'm probably never going to use the Stone Spear. But, you know, it's good to have these things in tow. Anyway, that's it for this video. Please join me next time.